Good evening, America. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you, as always, from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to take another dive into a case that we watch every day, the case against former FBI Director James Comey, accused of lying or misleading Congress and obstructing Congress. You've seen the judge the last couple days make a lot of headlines saying, I don't think this was appropriate indictment, that maybe the grand jury was duped, that it rejected a charge and then they never went back and got the other ones approved. Well, a funny thing happened today, a rare thing actually. Lindsay Halligan, the acting U.S. attorney who's prosecuting that case in Northern Virginia, made public the transcript of the grand jury proceedings. That's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. But what did the grand jury proceedings transcript show? It showed that the foreman clearly knew that when they turned down one charge, they still were approving the two other charges, and they were comfortable with the way the indictment was issued. You would think that the judge, a Biden judge, by the way, a Biden-appointed judge, would have known that would have checked the transcript before making the allegations he has against the government, before garnering the headlines he did, but that didn't happen. And today, for the first time, you can see that transcript. We just put it up on justthenews.com. My amazing colleague, Jerry Dunleavy, got a hold of it just a little while ago. Go check it out there. It's not been a good day, good 24 hours for Congress either. Democrat Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick of Florida has been indicted for allegedly stealing $5 million from FEMA. Now, this is important. That money goes to people who are in crisis. They were the victims of disaster. A member of Congress stole that money, but guess what? She then routed it, according to the government indictment, to her own campaign to enrich her political coffers, to improve her political career. Victimized Americans and helping herself for political gain. That is what the Justice Department said. Now, to show that insanity sometimes can be bipartisan in Washington, we also have a second instance. A former Republican staffer to Congressman Jeff Van Drew was charged today with staging a fake violent political attack on herself. 26-year-old Natalie Green is charged with staging this attack, making it look like she had been knifed by someone who hated Trump and hated Republicans and scarring her own body. But the indictment says that she faked that attack. She and another co-conspirator did so to make it look like she was a victim when, in fact, she had staged the attack. So a bad day all around for Congress. Now, a quick programming note. We hope over the next 24 hours to gain access to some new video footage. It's video footage you've never seen before on January 6th. It shows the pipe bomber, alleged pipe bomber, the person in that gray hoodie that we've been following. We get new video, we bring it to you. Well, it shows a new destination that alleged pipe bomber went before they dropped off the alleged bombs at the Republican National Committee and Democratic National Committee. They stopped for a period of time in front of the Congressional Black Caucus Institute building. They actually sat down there for a little while, and it's unclear whether they were planting something or thinking about something, but for some reason, that stop on their tour the night before January 6th was not given to the American public. It wasn't given to Congress. The FBI, as far as we can tell, doesn't have it yet either, but it was on Capitol Police Video Committee. We're going to make that video public tomorrow. We've got a bombshell interview with Chairman Barry Loudermilk that we're going to have on the John Solomon Reports podcast tonight. We'll lay this all out for you, but be sure to check it out. And with that, all those headlines, I'm going to turn to my amazing co-host, Amanda Head, because you've been watching a lot of things. President Trump was pretty busy today.
Indeed. And I knew this would eventually come. President Trump has taken note today of a video put out by a few Democrat lawmakers earlier this week. They are all veterans or former members of the intelligence community. And in this video, they told service members to ignore what they called illegal orders from the president. Take a look at this. It's incredible.
Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
I mean, these are not fringe members of the party, but a few days passed without any acknowledgement of that video from President Trump. But earlier today, he posted on Truth Social, quote, "This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up, question mark, question mark, question mark." And he followed that post up with this one, writing seditious behavior punishable by death. And of course, This all got quite a bit of coverage today, and White House Press Secretary Caroline Lovett was asked about it all at her press conference today, and here is how she responded.
You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed.
Yeah, so the question is, what exactly are they talking about when they say illegal orders? We really are not quite sure, but the lawmakers in that video haven't elaborated further, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. And it seems that President Trump felt today was the perfect time to reignite this story in the news cycle, so we're going to have to see where it all leads. But John, Secretary Lovett is exactly right. When you have this break in continuity, this break in unity within the armed services, that's when people get killed. It's not good.
You know, the Democrats, I don't know. It's been a bad 24 hours for Congress on a lot of different fronts. So you got a lawmaker stealing money from needy people, a congressional staffer faking a very serious attack, and then members of Congress trying to tell the military not to follow the commander-in-chief.
Very scary.
Yeah, I think American people expect a lot more. Now, somebody that does Congress right every day because he cares about what the Constitution says and what his constituents need is North Carolina Congressman Mark Harrison. He joins us right now. Congressman, great to have you on the show.
Thank you, John and Amanda. It's great to be with you.
You are doing the people's business, and today you and Congresswoman Mary Miller, frequent guests on this show, introduced some new legislation to help President Trump walk back the rule, I think it's the Biden-era rule, that forced taxpayers to fund illegal aliens' abortions. This is a pretty big moment. Tell us about it, what you know about it, and what the likelihood is that this could pass the House.
It is a big moment, and I'm so thankful for Representative Miller joining with me. And actually, we had 28 co-sponsors that jumped on the bill immediately. So when we introduced it, we already have had that kind of strength behind it. And basically, this is just another one of those common sense bills that's being introduced to really reverse a Biden-era rule that was using taxpayer money to basically become Ubers for illegal aliens to cross state lines to get an abortion. And we're just saying that's crazy. And we're going to use common sense, and we're going to say that rule's got to go. We're not going to have illegal aliens being transported at taxpayer expense across state lines in order to have an abortion. And I'm very grateful, as I said, for the 28 colleagues that joined Congresswoman Miller and myself. So we have 30 going into it, and that's a really strong start. And we'll be promoting this and hopefully getting a lot of co-sponsors in the days ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty ghoulish form of tourism. There are other ghoulish things happening in cities across this country, and that is illegal immigrants who are recidivistically committing crimes, violent crimes. But there are, 130 fewer off the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina. This is an operation that a lot of Americans support because of President Trump's agenda for deporting the worst first. Tell us what you're hearing from your constituents.
Well, listen, I'm grateful for the question, Amanda. We're actually up to more than 275 plus that have been arrested. And I am very, very excited about that because, listen, the Border Patrol has come into Charlotte and they are helping get crime off the streets. They're helping get these criminal illegal aliens removed. And that is something that needed to happen. And if you look at the list of these folks that they're arresting, you're finding people that are guilty of sex crimes. You're having people that are guilty of indecent liberties with children. You're having people wanted for murder from Honduras. You're having all kinds of folks that are being arrested. And I am very, very grateful for the work that CBP has been doing. And, if there's any disappointment in it, it's in the elected leaders on the left, whether they're our city leaders all the way up to the governor, who have thrown shade on our Border Patrol, who are simply doing their job. And I've been emphasizing throughout this week that, look, they are law enforcement. And, when I was a young man, when I was in first grade, I remember in school when Officer Friendly was brought. and reminded and taught children that our law enforcement are our friends. Our law enforcement are protecting us. They're there to stand up for us. And we've got to get back to that message. And instead, we've had elected leaders that are trying to somehow create the Border Patrol to be the enemy in this, when in fact, they're getting criminals off the street. And that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, it is pretty remarkable. What has been the reaction in the community? Obviously, Charlotte has had some pretty tough episodes that remind us of the dangers of illegal aliens and felonious folks being on the street. Are people happy to have a sense of relief that maybe these dangerous individuals are gone now?
I do think people, frankly, are glad. Heard from folks that have been in Charlotte, and they've been thankful for the fact that they've been there. Obviously, there's been a sense of hysteria that's been created by the media there oftentimes. And you've also got, as I mentioned earlier, these elected leaders that are creating a bit of this hysteria. And so, look, one of the things that came to my attention in all of this is the Migrant Policy Institute, who's not exactly what you would consider a conservative group, but they do track migrants. And they actually reported that there are 100,000 illegal aliens in Mecklenburg County alone. And the number one country that they're from is Honduras. And the second most that they come from are from Mexico. So when you look at that reality, it's a serious situation. And I'm grateful that Border Patrol recognize that they have their intelligence, they have their information, and they've acted on it, and they've moved in with Operation Charlotte's Web. I think it's going to be a short-lived mission, and then they're going to move on probably to Raleigh. And ultimately, I understand they're looking at New Orleans as the next stop. But I'm grateful for these men and women in uniform that are willing to stand strong, are willing to take the risk, and they're out there on behalf of all of us, protecting us.
Absolutely. Sir, I want to move on to some other orders of business for Congress. You guys have got a lot of priorities heading into next year. I know that fixing Obamacare is towards the top of the list as we talk to Speaker Mike Johnson. Tell us what you want to see done before next November so that Republicans can keep the majority.
Well, I think we've got to just continue on where we were leading up to that shutdown. The shutdown was done purely to try to create a stoppage to the momentum that we are seeing. I mean, the America First agenda, we were hitting our stride. The rhythm was just happening. And so I think that we need to get back to the things that we were setting out to do. You mentioned that we've got to deal with the healthcare issue. We're looking at this issue of affordability and helping folks understand that and get us in a better position. And I think when you talk about healthcare, we've got to recognize the fact that the Affordable Care Act has been anything but affordable. And I think that we need to recognize that we need to have the opportunity to get people back to a place of health care freedom. There's been a lot of ideas floating around. I think you're going to see many of them begin to come together that are going to allow folks to have more choices, more opportunities. We've got to stop putting the money into the insurance companies' hands because all they do is just take that money and jack up prices. They found that the most dependable thing in the world is a government check, and we've got to stop doing that. And we've got to put it into the hands of people so that they're able to have healthcare choices and ultimately have decision-making power about their healthcare. And again, I think the three words I'm wanting to emphasize is health care freedom. That's something I want to see happen as we move forward with that.
Got a nice ring to it. Before we let you go, sir, just a minute left. Congressman Cherfilus-McCormick charged with stealing $5 million of money that was supposed to go to disaster victims and routing it into her campaign. Your thoughts when one of your colleagues betrays that trust, or at least allegedly does so?
Well, to think of the fact that there she is from Florida and that it was FEMA money, disaster relief money, as someone has said, if that's not an aggravating circumstance, I don't know what is. And so that's a serious, serious issue. And I think right now, This is something the Ethics Committee is working on. It's unfortunate, it's embarrassing for Congress to go through this, but it's got to be handled. And I think that we will be hearing very shortly on Ethics Committee giving us sort of a path of steps that need to happen, and this will be dealt with. And of course, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but there's a serious situation here and a serious breach of trust for the American people. And I think that we're going to have to see everything come to light on this very quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get to the bottom of it. We need to. It's important. Sir, as always, a great honor. We'll be watching that legislation closely. A lot of people buzzing about it today. A lot of your colleagues thrilled that you and Congresswoman Miller put that legislation in today. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Yeah, it's a great honor, sir. Thanks so much. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Nebraska's Attorney General has uncovered a bombshell. He has traced foreign money from a Swiss liberal billionaire flowing into influence elections in America. Like, wait a second, we don't allow foreign money in. Turns out it happened. Attorney General Mike Helder is going to be here next. You're not going to want to miss it. Big story right after the break. Hey, folks, Americans are losing trust in the system, right? Banks collapsing, inflation eating away savings, and now the Federal Reserve is pushing for a central bank digital currency. If that happens, every dollar in your account could be tracked, traced, and ultimately controlled. Imagine not being able to donate to a cause they disagree with or being locked out of your money because of your opinions or associations. We don't want that. And once it starts here, folks, it won't be optional. That's why American Alternative Assets created a free guide called The Digital Dollar Trap. It shows how to legally move part of your savings into physical gold, a time-tested asset that puts you in control. Call 855-GOLD-340 or visit johnlikesgold.com. That's my website to claim your free guide. That's 855-GOLD-340 or johnlikesgold.com. Take the time now because once the switch flips, there may be no going back.